Hello and welcome to Goddess Tulsa Radio. Make sure you're following us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Music, and YouTube on all of our platforms. We have After Dark, hot topics, special guests, and engagement here. If you would like to send Goddess Tulsa gifts, you can do so at P.O. Box 195 1717 North Peoria Avenue, Suite 2, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74106. And if you like to donate to the Cash App, it is beautiful 070707. Thank you so much for coming out to the Goddess Tulsa show. And we appreciate you. If you are new, we want to thank you. If you're a returner, we want to thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we will be starting the show here shortly. So hop on the train. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming by the Keeping Up with Queen Tulsa show. I'm your host, Goddess Tulsa. If you are a new subscriber, I want to thank you so much for subscribing. If you are a returning subscriber, I definitely want to thank you for coming. This is the top of the hour. It is 11 a.m. here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I want to discuss a local topic or local news. And I also wanted to speak about Jayland Walker. He was a black man that was shot by police in the back at least 46 times. But here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tulsa police said an 18-year-old woman died Sunday morning after being shot during a fight near the center of the universe. TPD identified the victim as Serenity McAdoo. On Monday, officers said someone called police just before 3 a.m. hearing gunshots and seeing kids running. Tulsa investigators said they learned several young adults were at the downtown attraction that night. Police believe one group of people that shot at another group as they were leaving in a car. The One Williams Center building at First Street in Boston was hit by bullets. Police said McAdoo was shot in the car and died at the hospital later that morning. Police are asking anyone with information to call Tulsa Crime Stoppers at 918-596-COPS. So, yeah, very tragic. Don't really know what happened, but definitely praying for the families that were affected by that tragedy. Okay, so autopsy shows 46 entrance room wounds or gaze injuries to Jayland Walker, medical examiner says. An autopsy revealed Jayland Walker, the unarmed man who was shot and killed by Akron, Ohio police at the end of the high-speed chase, had 46 gunshot entrance wounds or graze injuries, Summit County medical examiner Dr. Lisa Collier said Friday. His death was due to blood loss from his internal injuries, and the cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds, Collier said. Tests revealed no evidence of drugs or alcohol in his system, she added. Violation, he was remembered as soft spoken, loving, and kind at his funeral Wednesday. Details of the case continue to emerge amid public scrutiny of how law enforcement personnel across the United States uses force, especially against people of color. Walker was black, while 7 of the 8 officers who fired on him are white and 1 is black. The city has said all were put on paid administrative leave per department policy. Jayland Walker suffered at least 60 wounds in fatal police shooting, Akron Police Chief says as authorities released body cam footage. Collier said the gunshot entrance wounds included 15 on Walker's torso, where he had internal injuries to his heart, lungs, liver, spleen, left kidney, intestines, and multiple ribs. 17 on his pelvis and upper legs, where the right major artery going to the leg and the bladder were injured, and the pelvis and both femurs were broken. One on his face, where the jaw broke. 8 on his arm and right hand. 5 on his knees, right lower leg, and right foot. Walker's family and representatives were able to review the report prior to this announcement at a news conference, Collier said. His cousin Rodre Walker, told CNN on Friday, I feel like we've been echoing zero threat, zero violence. I keep saying his name, young African American male from Akron, Ohio, who was looking to explore the world lively young man, loved to travel, even made plans to come down to Houston to visit the rodeo, Renaissance Festival, and even catch a live WWE event, he said. So his life was taken away. So his life was taken way too soon. I'm focusing on how do I educate my girls on what just happened, the tragedy behind that, and then what we can do locally to raise awareness and continue to be out in the community and show that we are not threats to society. In a statement Friday, the legal team representing Walker's family said the medical examiner's report confirms the violent and unnecessary use of force by the Akron Police Department on an unarmed young man who, as the family expected, was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The statement said that Jayland suffered 46 gunshot wounds to his body is horrific. The fact that after being hit nearly 4 dozen times, officers still handcuffed him while he lay motionless and bleeding on the ground is absolutely inhumane. The family is devastated by the findings of the report and still await a public apology from the police department. A gunshot residue test was not performed on Walker, the medical examiner said. Akron police accused him of firing what appeared to be a gunshot out the window. A gun was found in his car later. Police said he was not armed when killed. Gunshot residue testing can detect specific particles related to the discharge of a firearm, but the results of that testing is not conclusive as to whether the person did or did not fire a weapon, Collier said. The FBI discontinued this testing in 2006. She said the office discontinued the collection of that sampling in 2016 and no longer purchases collection kits. NAACP wants Justice Department investigation. A United Nations organization will be investigating the police shooting, a spokesperson for the group told CNN on Friday. The UN body that is investigating follows an agenda to end systemic racism and human rights violations by law enforcement against Africans and people of African descent. According to the UN Human Rights website, and has been involved in other high profile cases, including the death of George Floyd. At Walker's funeral on Wednesday, a family attorney said the organization had been in touch. The NAACP on Thursday also urged the Department of Justice to investigate the shooting, calling it a gruesome assassination, and a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland. No one is above the law, including law enforcement. Those responsible for hunting him down and firing 90 bullets at him should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson said in the letter, we are urging you and your Department of Justice to conduct a thorough investigation into the murder of Jayland Walker. And if what we all saw with our own eyes is true, federally charges char- federally charge the officers responsible for this gruesome assassination. It is time to hold law enforcement officials accountable for treating Black Americans by different standards. Johnson added in the letter, "We pray that your department will launch this critical investigation in the quest for justice in this case." A Justice Department spokesperson said the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, and the FBI field office in Akron, Ohio, are closely monitoring and reviewing the circumstances surrounding the death of Jayland Walker. The FBI continues to coordinate with state and local partners to provide resources and specialized skills. If the evidence reveals potential violations of federal criminal statutes, the Justice Department will take appropriate action. Okay, now this is very disheartening, but before I go ahead and elaborate, let me go ahead and get some housekeeping out the way. We have little boss lady in the building. Good morning. Hey, boo. We have Lisa Lyons in here. She says, Tulsita, good morning, good morning. Oh, yes, I heard about that. So sad. These people are going mad. 46 shots. Wow. Awful. Yeah. Horrible. Horrific. Just disgusting. Um, yes, that is not the word. Hate shit like this. It will never, yeah, it will never stop. There should be no investigation. Lock them up, throw away the every single key. Absolutely. I agree. I say the same thing. Let's lock them up. Let's throw away the key because I feel like if it was people of color and they ran down on a white person, it will be no questions asked that they will be locked up, forget a paid leave. It's lock them up. And like I was saying on yesterday when we were going through Willie Lynch letters, we did do part one yesterday. I want you guys to come back for part two today so we can get into this. And we got to get into this rhetoric that these Black people of color, YouTubers, and media, we got to tug their uh, coattails and be like, hey, or their collars and be like, hey, what you're doing is disservice. We still have people out here being unalived at the hands of the police. And you guys are sitting here encouraging it, praising it with content that's associated with hurt. The dragation of it all. It's one thing to do comedy, and it's one thing to be a sellout. Are you a comedian or are you a sellout? Is a question. I did want to um, go ahead and give you guys the morning weather while we're here. So right now it's about 90 degrees, and yeah, it's supposed to get up to 102 today here in Tulsa. So it's definitely going to be hot. It looks like we're going to be in the hundreds all week. Make sure you are staying hydrated. Oh my gosh, the wind is at 10 miles per hour. The humidity is at 51%, and the precipitation is at 0%. So if you're here locally in Tulsa, definitely stay with the water, stay hydrated because that heat out there is no joke. The heat is no joke. Okay. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for coming by the Goddess Tosa show for your morning news. I'm your host, Goddess Tosa, and this was your morning news. Come back later for our part two of our discussion of the Willie Lynch letter. We discussed part 1 yesterday. If you didn't, go ahead and check out that live stream, and also check us out on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, and Google Music to continue to follow us and to keep up with us. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I can't wait to see you later. Bye. Get your morning news with your goddess Tosa. We are definitely here this morning to give you the local and the hot topics in the news. So I am your host, Goddess Tosa. Thank you all for tuning in to our morning show. Make sure you are liking, subscribing. If you're a returning subscriber, good morning and thank you for returning. And make sure you give us some feedback. Make sure you engage.